Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a new video. In this video we continue where we left the last episode. We did an episode on getting back into the flow, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna take a couple of these and I'm gonna try to finish them, or at least somewhat finish them. But instead I kept polishing the thumbnails, and for a long time I wasn't really sure what to do with it, and I don't know, I just couldn't really grasp what was going on here. So this is me looking at the total video for the first time. So what you see here is something that I will see for the first time as well, and I'm just gonna talk a little bit about what I think I did wrong and what I should focus on for the next couple of episodes, and just for my painting and drawing skills in general, because I think I have to learn a few things, and as we go along I think I will try to figure that out together with you, what those things are. So we're just blocking in some a little bit more color, and we're working on the values and things like that, and keep bouncing back and forth between the different thumbnails. I keep working on them for a very short period of time, and then I'm going to the other. I couldn't really focus on one in particular, and that's why I decided that later on I just grabbed two of them and continued with two. But still, in the end, I still think that the result isn't really where I wanted it to be, and there are a couple of reasons for that, I think. First of all, I think this setup, I think I started on the wrong foot here. Yes, I got quite inspired by the thumbnails, and it was really fun to do the line drawing very quickly. Just go in there with color, but the problem I ran into is that I didn't really design a lot. It's just a landscape with a bunch of mushrooms and rocks and things like that. But there a lot of them, there is no real design to them, so I kept being in this strange state where I had to worry about color, about values, and about design all at the same time, and that's hard work, and that I couldn't really pull it off. So in the end, I think I got a fairly decent result. I definitely can improve the end result still quite a bit, and I might do so, but I'm not sure. I kind of want to use this point in time, this video, to figure out where I go wrong and how I can fix those mistakes and how I can learn to become better, because that's what this series is all about. That's what this channel is all about. It's about learning art and learning what to do to improve myself. So I think my brush is really getting weird. Using the wrong recording setting. I think I am, because you see that my brush is sometimes it's really weird. Maybe it's because the footage is sped up, but I think we're arriving at a new part here. Yeah, and then you can see my brush is suddenly back to normal. But all right, I'm gonna figure that out for a later video. So yeah, I should have, as always, I should have made a little list to talk about. So let's talk a little bit about the piece. I started last week with 6 thumbnails, really quick, really rough, and just started to block in some colors, and I think I left them. I think that's one of the first mistakes. I think I should have refined the line drawing a lot more. So I should have put in some design effort. I think I was too quick there, and I really was really rough with the color blocking, and I think I was too quick with that as well. I left them in a state in which they were finished enough, so to speak. So now I have to continue with these half decent thumbnails instead of decent thumbnails on which I can start to work immediately on a painting. And as I said before, I have to worry about the design, I have to worry about the colors, where's the light coming from, do I want this to be sort of a spooky forest scene or things like that. I should have decided that a lot earlier. But I didn't, so now I'm sort of in a bit of a strange state where I have to figure that all out, and that can be quite hard. So yeah, that's definitely something that I need to take away from this. I really need to get my design done, my composition done for the most part before I continue to refine it. And I can be really rough with the with the colors and with the rest of it, but as long as the design is good, I can work on the colors and values later. Or I think design and values are really the most important. I think I need to focus on that as well, on the values, how to pick the right color within the right value, and that's something I should also work on. So I might do some paint studies, just grab an interesting photograph and just study it and just paint it over and see how the shadow changes and how the light changes and how the colors work. I think I really need to do that to understand it a little bit better. Yeah, there's a couple of things I took away from it, and yeah, and the design part. Because see, I'm trying to follow the sort of crappy design of the thumbnail, but even I created this thumbnail, so I should have a pretty good idea what should be going on here. But because I made the design so sloppy, I didn't really have an idea. So then you're in such a state that you're just kind of throwing on random colors and random shapes almost. So that doesn't really work, and that's also why I kept bouncing back and forth between the different thumbnails, because most of them, actually I think with all of them, I didn't really know what to do with it, and that's something I sort of realized a lot later. I struggled a lot with it, and I didn't really seem to notice that I was struggling. So that was really strange, and there was also pressure. I kind of wanted to really create this video, and I had this cool thumbnails. I thought I had this cool thumbnails, and I wanted to continue with those thumbnails. So yeah, that was a sort of a pressure to finish these. But I think in hindsight, I should have stepped back a little bit and thought about it and figure out a better workflow for myself, because I'm by no means a professional. I'm really far off being a professional. I'm just a guy who enjoys to paint and to draw, and I've been doing it for a long time. But well, drawing at least, just pencil drawing. But this kind of stuff is fairly new for me. And of course, I've watched videos and tutorials and things like that, but I think I need some sort of how should I call it? Sort of structured way to improve myself, and that way the channel can become a lot more informative for you guys as well. If I can learn from it, you can learn from it as well. So don't make these mistakes, and actually sort of try to know what you're doing. And of course, sometimes it is a good idea to be rough and just to make crappy thumbnails. As long as you know what's going on, it's okay. But the last part of the sentence was the important part of the sentence. As long as you know what you're doing, as long as you know what you're gonna do with it. And I think that's the point where it got all wrong in this video, in this work. I didn't, for the most part, didn't really know what I was going, where I was going with it. So yeah, that was kind of eye-opening actually, and I hope I can learn from it, and gonna try to figure out a way to do it better, to get a better workflow, to get a better understanding. I think things like perspective, I think I got that down quite well, because I don't know, your eye is used to seeing things in perspective. So as soon as the perspective is off, your eye sees that, and then you know, hey, this is wrong. And I think I have a pretty decent understanding on how to fix stuff and with that, so that's not the issue. But I have a lot more difficulty with fixing colors and things like that. So that's definitely something I also want to work on. So I want to work on designing things, on working the value. Oh, here you can see me showing the texture. I skipped a little bit with the recording. I threw on the same sort of photo graph on each and every one of these pieces. I skewed them a little bit in some places. I used different parts of it, but I used all the same photograph, and it gave me a lot of information and a lot of color to work with. But I let the texture work for me, because I sort of was lost. So I threw on the texture as a sort of a saving grace. Hopefully, to hope that it is a sort of a saving grace for me. And it kind of is, but it's also a curse, because you get all this new information in your piece, which you didn't necessarily want there. And since I didn't really have a good idea what to do with these, that's the case. You tend to let the texture, which I just threw in, dictate the painting, and that's really bad. I mean, if I had an idea, I could throw in the texture and think, no, that doesn't really fit my idea. That doesn't really fit the theme that I'm trying to get across. And now I just slapped on the photo and thought, you know what? It's okay, and there's a whole bunch of new stuff. I can do something with that. And I still had no idea where I was going with these things. So I just kept working and going on and going on. And well, the result in the end, it may be presentable, but we'll see. I still have to talk for quite a bit. I think for about 17 minutes, even more. Wow. So I'm gonna try to see what more information I can give you. I think I think the image is still 4,000 pixels wide, if I recall correctly. At some point, I enlarged it to 8,000 pixels wide. So I have a lot higher resolution, and in the end, I kept two of them. Each of them are 4,000 wide, and maybe when I work on them, I will enlarge them a little bit more. So and you can still see me struggling. I mean, I do a tiny bit on the single one, and then I move on to the next one, and then don't really have the courage to tackle the really difficult stuff. Trying a different brush, I couldn't really get into a nice rhythm with my current brush, but then I tried a new one and a different one, and it didn't really work out the way I wanted it, and just it could have been great. I think I love, or love is a strong word, but I kind of dig a lot of the colors on these. And I also really like the ID that I'm trying to get across, the mushroom kind of environment with the giant mushrooms, and but the execution isn't really there yet. I think, yeah, there's definitely a lot of room for improvement, and I think that comes with experience and with just studying hard and yeah, figuring out how to do that. Here I'm starting to work on the values. I want to make this mushroom here in the front. I want it to be a lot darker than the rest. I think in the end I don't really know if I made the right decision. I think the contrast is a little bit too big now. In terms of value, the distance is actually quite big, but in terms of size, this mushroom here in the foreground isn't really that much closer than the other ones. And I think I have a tendency of creating these foreground objects which don't really add that much to the painting. I mean, that mushroom takes about almost a quarter, a little bit less than a quarter of the entire painting, and it's not that interesting. So that's something I have to work on as well, about these foreground objects. It's a good idea to have some sort of foreground, but the foreground is there to sort of get a good idea of the depth, and I don't know if that I could have made. The thing is, I could have made it more interesting. I could have made it a nice overgrown rocky bit with a lot of mushrooms and different shapes, different sizes, some plants, things like that. I think now I think back to it, I think I should have gone for something more like that. And here you can see me, I select two of the paintings which I kind of like the most. I kept the one with the giant mushroom in front, and I might do another set of two before I but I don't know, maybe I don't know if I can save it. Maybe I will grab two and sort of put my design in, try to think of a cool design and put it in, and then go from there and try to sort of fix my mistakes that I made with the thumbnail. So you can see me change the, yeah, I'm sort of working on the design now, because this is an extra rock in front of this sort of the cliff. At first I had the idea in mind that this is a sort of a sheer cliff overgrown with mushrooms and giant mushrooms, and maybe people made their houses out of them and things like that. But now I sort of separated a bit from the background and starting to make these sort of homes, mushroom kind of thingies. And so I'm currently again designing again. I'm changing the original plan, the original design, and yeah, that's, I think, of course you can change stuff, but I don't think it is the perfect solution to things. So but now I have only two paintings to worry about, so I can and that gives me some yeah, it gives me the opportunity to work on one for a much longer time. I can focus a little bit better. So I think for quick thumbnails, it's nice to do a couple of them sort of simultaneously, but I really need just one or two paintings to work on, otherwise I'm just keep bouncing them back and forth, and I can't really focus on design of one painting. So that's also a lesson that I should learn. I should really try to focus on the design of the single piece that I'm working on. Now here I'm trying to sort of make a sort of a home building kind of mushroom thing, or sort of like a tree house, but with a mushroom kind of that idea. And it kind of works, it kind of doesn't. There's way too little information on the cliff. I think the cliff is sort of except for these two humps, so to speak, and the ones on the edge, which now I look at the three of each other sort of stacked. They don't really look nice from a composition standpoint. I should have changed that. But now they're here, and it is what it is. But I add a bit more information in the end of the video. Here you see me try to add some form of noise or maybe some extra information which I can use, because I still don't really have a clue what I'm doing with this. So you can see me. You can clearly see that because I'm switching back and forth between brushes, and I'm editing a brush. Now in the end I got a really nice brush out of it. I really loved using it, and I've kept using that for the rest of the painting actually. So I got a new brush out of it, so that's a positive thing. So yeah, but you can definitely see that I don't really have a clue what I'm doing with that painting, because I kept looking for a brush and sort of frantically looking to figure out a way to add some stuff, so sort of magically add stuff that would save the entire painting. But then reality struck me. I just have to sit down and paint and try to do the best I can. So here you see me checking my progress. I added some atmospheric perspective, and just slowly but surely continuing with the hard work. I think it turned out okay-ish in the end, but there's definitely a lot to learn from what I did before. So from now on, it's just mainly continuing adding details and playing with the overall landscape. And here I tried a little trick. I used the marquee tool, and the round marquee tool actually, to add a lot of mushrooms at once. Just grab them, pick a soft brush, and paint over it. And it looks kind of messy, but I think it's a good idea. It's a good way to add some information. I think I could have maybe planned it a little bit better. It's kind of random now, which, of course, nature is sort of random, but I don't know. I could have thought a little bit better about it, but in the end, we will paint again on that piece. So we will fix a little bit of that. We will integrate it a lot better into the rest of the painting, because now you can clearly see that edges are really hard. So there's quite some work to be done. And here I do the same at this painting. And the thing I like the least currently is in the bottom left. Well, there are mushrooms, but the bottom left, the ground, just you can't really see what's going on there. It's just a random blob of colors. In the real zoomed out version, it doesn't read that so much. It doesn't really bother me, but when you see it full screen, I think there is still a lot of distinguishing to be made. The mushrooms and the ground and possibly vegetation, and that is an issue that I should address as well. How to paint sort of the ground, different type of landscape, so to speak. So for instance, a forest, the ground in the forest, the soil is different than, for example, in grassland. And I think I could study that a little bit more as well, to figure out how to establish that, because currently I'm sort of trying to establish it all at the same time, and I think I should sort of layer the base color, and from there add the different elements that I want to add. I'm continuing to add and keep doing that until the end, to add atmospheric perspective. You see me detailing out the different types of mushrooms a little bit better. And I think a part of why I struggled, I think I wasn't really confident enough with what I was doing. In the end, I loosened up a little bit, and I really started painting stuff in, especially in the top painting. We will see that in a couple of minutes. And at that point, I think that the painting is starting to shape up a little bit better, and maybe I should have started with that a lot earlier as well, to just show some confidence. And here is the part, yeah, I think you just missed a bit. I thought I was recording, but in the end, actually I wasn't, so it's a bit missing. Currently playing around with the dodge tool. I kind of like sort of patches of bright light from the sun hitting the bottom, but because the base is not good enough, I think it doesn't really come across. I think there's too much difference in values between the ground and, I don't know, it's just a messy bit at the bottom left. But you know, it's all about the learning and seeing this back just shows me things, and I keep thinking about things now that I could do differently, and hopefully that will just stick around, and the next painting I can do it better. And I think adding these mushrooms helps a little bit. There's one problem though. I tend to put them all at the same level, so I need to try to put them on different levels, and I kept struggling with that throughout the entire painting. In the top one, I struggled with that as well. So here, quickly working on the clouds. I think the sky in the end could have used a little bit more work. Maybe if I focused, created a nice epic sky, it would have added to the piece. But still, I don't really think the piece is that strong. I definitely like the top one better than the bottom one in the end. That's probably also because I think in the end I worked longer on the top one, but that's sort of a natural process, because I when I sort of like it a little bit better, I'm also feeling more confident to continue with it and to add stuff to it, and that way it gets better and better, and the more I like it, so, and the more I work on it, so yeah, after a while you're at a certain point in which the other painting sort of stands no chance. You can finally see me sort of putting on the man pants, so to speak, and being a little bit more confident with my brush, and being a lot more confident with adding sort of design to the painting instead of random things. And now I decided, you know what, this is sort of a home of people, maybe, as I said before, and I'm now really trying to sort of get the suggestion of that in. And here I'm working a little bit on the rock here. I decided to get a lot rid of quite a lot. I don't really like the color of it. I think the color should have been a little bit more greenish, so it would fit in with the rest of the piece a little bit better. I'm adding quite some spots of green, hints of mushrooms and vegetation, and I'm yeah, just working on small details like that. A little bit of vegetation, a little bit of grass, and yeah, I think details like that can help a little bit with creating all the different stuff into the piece. So I'm drinking some coffee in the meantime. I mean, coffee is really important for the creative process, I think. Here I'm trying to sort of add a road. That's also a thing I'm really struggling with adding things like dirt roads to stuff. I need to study that a little bit and see how I can do that. And this bit on the right just felt really off, so I decided to give it some more attention. I do a small pass now, and now I'm gonna work on the bottom one a little bit more, and then I do another pass on the top one. I think this is just some values, adding some values to the painting, and then I sort of kind of dropped it entirely and thought, you know what, I'm gonna work on the top one and make that the best I can. The bottom one is, I think you can really make a really nice piece with such a landscape. I think, yeah, the potential is there. So I'm probably gonna I kind of want to explore this theme a little bit better. You can see I just played with the values and get straight back into the top one, not coming back to the bottom one anymore. I'm just gonna work on this one and try to sort of make it the best I can. In the end, it's still really rough, and yes, I can definitely work on it for a little bit longer, especially now that in the end I kind of had an idea on what it was meant to be, and that sort of half worked out. So yeah, I can definitely see that brought further. So maybe I will try to do another episode on it, in which I'm trying to take the first rough painting to a more finished level. And I don't know. I kind of also want to start learning on the stuff that I discovered by doing this little project. So I want to keep improving, and I think there are some core things that I should improve on. So I think it's better to work on the core issues, so to speak. Then again, on the other hand, it's good to really finish a piece every now and then, because then you get something to show yourself, and I mean, especially sort of halfway through a piece, you sometimes, well, I at least feel really discouraged and think, you know what, this isn't really looking like anything I've done before, and a lot of other pieces were a lot better, and sort of if you keep stopping, then you're sort of you're gonna finish earlier and earlier and earlier with your pieces, and then none of the pieces will reach a sort of solid end state, and then you kind of keep feeling discouraged. So it's sometimes it's really good to push on and see how far you can take it, and how well, I think that's just personal sort of rambling and personal thoughts. I think it might be good to every now and then, even if you think you need to do a lot of things differently and want to use these things that you learned and put them into practice. I think it's still a good idea to sort of grab that failure, so to speak, that initially failed project, and bring it up as good as you possibly can, because then you can say, you know what, it didn't really take off the way I wanted it, but in the end it was okay. So here I decided I need some more color and some brighter greens in the background, because it turned all into a blur with me adding all the atmospheric perspective, and I thought, you know what, that's not okay. So and I'm adding some more colors, some more variation, and we're almost at the end of the piece. So from now on, it's just me adding more of this stuff. And yeah, I think there is definitely a lot more that can be done on this painting, and I might do that, but who knows. For now, this was the episode. I hope you enjoyed it, although it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. I hope you learned together with me. I certainly learned a lot from this, so that's a good takeaway, and hopefully next time we can use the things that we learned and put them into practice. All right, thank you for watching. If you liked it, please give a like, and if you want to stay up to date with the content and keep learning together with me, consider hitting that subscribe button. Bye.